Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at CrowdStrike. The stock jumped up over 10% after reporting earnings yesterday. And this is a stock we cover a nice amount in this channel, right? Normally we cover Nvidia, but we can see back in October of 2023 when CrowdStrike was sitting at $161, I did a big deep dive on the company and why I believe it was one of the top growth stocks. In January, the beginning of January, I took a closer look at my top three stocks for 2024, the ones that I was going to make bigger positions in my overall portfolio. Number one was Nvidia. Number two was CrowdStrike. And number three, maybe you can check out the video to see that one. So overall, CrowdStrike had an amazing results. And today I really want to just take a closer look at the earnings and just my overall thoughts on valuations and what I'm doing with this position in the upcoming days or the upcoming weeks. So let's take a closer look in today's
I
episode.
want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so if we take a closer look at quarter four on just a top level view, company beat on earnings, the company beat on earnings per share, the company beat on annual recurring revenue and guidance for the upcoming quarter. So overall, we do see a nice bullish segment for CrowdStrike right now. Now, before we take a closer look at earnings, I think it's best to go back a few months. In September of 2023, CrowdStrike had their Falcon event where they showcase a lot of where this company is going to go in the future. And this event was what really drove me to believe in the future opportunities for CrowdStrike. And that's why on October, I released that overall video on why CrowdStrike was one of my top growth stocks for 2023. And then I released it again in 2024. Now, there were two things in this presentation or this conference that really caught my attention as an investment for CrowdStrike. The first is that this company was focusing on long-term growth opportunities in three markets: cloud, identity, and log scale. And they believed that these were going to be huge total addressable market within the next 5 to 7 years. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you all for the amazing support we are getting in this channel. We're closing into 40,000 subs. That is insane. So if you haven't and you are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support this channel a little bit more, check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. The second thing that really caught my attention was their ability to upsell and how this company had a huge total addressable market available to them if they just continue to expand the modules to their current customers. Before that presentation, their total install base opportunity was roughly $12.2 billion. Now, in after the kind of new modules and things that they added after that Falcon event, that jumped to 19.6 billion. So this company was just showcasing that, hey, look, even if we don't get new customers and we just focus on upselling to our current customers, we can increase our annual recurring revenue dramatically by almost 5x, at some point even 10x to some extent. Now, a few months later, here I believe this is two earnings later, we are definitely seeing that that's the case. The first thing we saw is that in those rapid growth platforms, the company is seeing that rapid growth. Their annual recurring revenue in those segments more than doubled year over year. For example, the cloud security was up 90% year over year and now has over $400 million in annual recurring revenue. They did sign a big eight-figure deal with a hyper-growth AI company and with the leading hyperscaler. The identity security grew over 100% year over year, and they signed an eight-figure deal with a major chip manufacturer and a seven-figure deal with a major cruise line. And that's now over $300 million in annual recurring revenue. Now, their log scale segment was up over 160% year over year, and it also signed numerous big deals this quarter. So right off the bat, just a few quarters after that event, the company showcases that, hey, look, these markets that we believed were high growth opportunity are definitely showcasing that right now, even though right now, to some extent, we do have some macro headwinds, macroeconomics creating headwinds in forms of how much money companies are investing in IT and cybersecurity to some extent. But right now we can see CrowdStrike is definitely firing in all cylinders. Now, the second thing that they showcased was the ability to continue to increase or upsell to their current customers. This quarter, they mentioned that deals with 8 or more modules more than doubled year over year, and customers that have adopted 7 or more modules are roughly 27% of their total customer base. I mean, just a few months ago, they mentioned that their deals dealing with 8 or more modules was over 80% year over year growth. And now they mentioned a few months later that now that's over 100% year over year growth. And again, during these interesting times that we're seeing in the macroeconomic environment that should be creating some form of headwind, CrowdStrike continues to perform and continues to reiterate that they are going to be a heavy growth player in this cybersecurity market. And like I mentioned earlier on, one of their rapid growth opportunities is cloud security. And during the earnings call, they also mentioned that CrowdStrike was going to acquire a company called Flow Security. This is the industry's first and only cloud data runtime security solution. So they're going to continue to expand their cloud security solutions, which I do believe is going to continue to drive this rapid pace and rapid growth in this segment that's already growing at crazy levels. Now that we understand everything that CrowdStrike did well during the earnings and taking a closer look at what they mentioned a few months ago, I want to take a closer look at some important information that they shared during their earnings call, and we're going to take a closer look at the transcript. And after that, I just want to share my overall thoughts and valuation. So first, the CEO does mention that the current macro environment remains stable and consistent with prior quarters, and they expect continued deal scrutiny throughout this coming year. So right now, they're still kind of facing some form of headwinds, and that has been stable throughout the year, and they probably expect this to be similar in the upcoming year as well. So even through this deal scrutiny environment, they're still able to grow at crazy, crazy levels. A few things that did really well for the company. First is record deal volume. In quarter four, they closed more than 250 deals greater than 1 million in deal value, more than 490 deals greater than $500,000, and 1,900 deals greater than $100,000. And deal counts grew by more than 30% year over year across all deal segments. Not only that, they continue to see win rates in deal. In quarter four, they saw steadily rising win rates across the board. And this is very important, right? Because we've heard from other cybersecurity companies that right now they're either offering free solutions, they're offering free trial runs, extended free usage of their service because they want to win those deals. And CrowdStrike is saying, hey, look, we're not doing any heavy discounts, we're not offering any free services, but customers continue to come to us because we have the better solution. And now customers are starting off with more modules at once. They do mention on average, a new customer is adopting roughly 4.9 modules out of the gate, and that's an increase over last year. Another thing is their gross retention rate remained high at 98%, and their dollar-based net retention rate was consistent with the last quarter at 119%. And while other cybersecurity companies are kind of seeing maybe a bit of a slowdown and maybe some pressure, CrowdStrike is going on the other end. They're actually increasing their hiring in the first half of the year. Outside of that, they're also raising their free cash flow target for the full year, for the fiscal year of 2025, from between 30 to 32% to between 31 and 33% of total revenue. The final thing I want to mention is they reconfirmed that they are looking to get their business to 10 billion of annual recurring revenue and beyond by 2030. So overall, CrowdStrike is sitting at $329. And the final question I want to talk about in this episode is, am I willing to purchase at these levels? Am I selling? What am I doing with my overall position? So first, I am a firm believer of letting my winners run, and I have no intentions of selling CrowdStrike right now. While obviously there might be some cyclical pressure in the future, which can cause stock prices to drop, as we saw the stock is up over 163% in the past year or so. I do believe if we see some dips, that's where I would take the opportunity to increase my position. Right now, CrowdStrike just became my number three after today's results. Number one is NVIDIA, number two is AMD, and number three is CrowdStrike beating Microsoft. I believe number four is Microsoft. At current levels, I personally would not purchase CrowdStrike in a big position, maybe small dollar cost averaging, but the market tends to give us better buying opportunities opportunities over time. And sometimes I'd rather be patient before adding another big bulk into my overall position. So CrowdStrike for me is either a hold or a very, very small dollar cost averaging. So I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Do you believe CrowdStrike right now is still in early innings? Are you buying more right now? Are you selling to lock in some of those profits? Or are you looking like me and just holding on and maybe waiting for better buying opportunities in the future? So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.